Good evening and welcome to another episode in our series where we explore the darkest corners of the paranormal world. Tonight we are going to discuss a location that is considered one of the most dangerous places on Earth. We are going to the basement of the Warren house in Monroe, Connecticut to open the door to the artifact room. This is a library of the cursed where every object has a story and every story ends in terror. Before we begin, I have a question for you to answer in the comments. If you found a cursed object in your home, would you try to burn it yourself, or would you be too afraid to touch it and call a priest instead? Let me know your answer in the comment section below. Now let us step into the room and begin the tour. Act 1. The Trinity of Evil. To understand the artifact room, you have to understand why it exists. Ed and Lorraine Warren were the most famous paranormal investigators of the 20th century. Over their career, they investigated thousands of cases. When they went into a home that was being destroyed by a demonic spirit, they often found that the spirit was attached to an object. It might be a doll, or a mirror, or a piece of jewelry. The Warrens believed that you cannot simply destroy these objects. If you burn a vessel that contains a spirit, you do not kill the spirit, you only release it. Fire destroys the physical cage, but it sets the beast free. Once the spirit is free, it will attach itself to something else, usually a person. So the Warrens did not destroy these items, they captured them. They brought them home to their house in Monroe. They created a special room in their basement. They had the room consecrated. They had priests come on a regular basis to bless the space. Ed Warren called this room a battery. He said that there is so much negative energy concentrated in this one small space that it is like a nuclear reactor of evil. The spirits are trapped there. They are constantly pushing against the holy barriers that keep them in. If the blessings were to stop, the energy would explode and cause chaos for miles around. The room is filled with hundreds of items. There are shrunken heads and satanic books and masks used in dark rituals. But among this collection, there are 3 items that stand out above the rest. These are the alpha predators of the room. We call them the Trinity of Evil. The first and most famous resident of the room is Annabelle. If you have seen the movies, you know Annabelle as a porcelain doll with a cracked face and a terrifying smile. She sits in a glass case that is sealed with holy water and prayer. The sign on the front of the case says, "Positively do not open." This is not a suggestion. It is a rule that keeps the world safe. In the movie universe, the origin of Annabelle is tragic. In the film Annabelle Creation, we learn that the doll was made by a toy maker named Samuel Mullins. He lived in a large farmhouse with his wife Esther and their 7-year-old daughter Bee. Bee was a sweet child who died in a horrible car accident. The parents were devastated. They prayed to any power that would listen to them. They begged to see their daughter again. They made contact with a spirit that claimed to be Bee. It asked for permission to move into the doll so it could stay with them forever. The parents said yes. This was their fatal mistake. In the world of the demonic, permission is everything. By saying yes, they invited a demon into their home. The spirit was not their daughter. It was a malevolent entity that used the doll as a conduit. It attacked the mother and terrorized the house until the church intervened and locked the doll in a closet lined with pages from the Bible. Years later, a group of orphans moved into the house. A girl named Janice found the doll and released the spirit. The demon possessed Janice. She grew up and changed her name to Annabelle Higgins. She eventually joined a satanic cult and murdered her adoptive parents. She took her own life while holding the doll, and her blood dripped into the doll's eye. This blood sacrifice awakened the demon once again. In the movie Annabelle Comes Home, the Warrens bring the doll to the artifact room. Ed Warren explains that Annabelle is a beacon. She acts like a radio tower for spirits. When she is awake, she signals to all the other cursed objects in the room. She tells them that the keepers are gone, and it is time to hunt. However, the true story of Annabelle is different from the movies, and in some ways, it is much more disturbing because it happened in a normal apartment to normal people. The real Annabelle is not a porcelain doll. She's a Raggedy Ann doll. She's made of cloth with red yarn hair and button eyes. She looks completely innocent. This is her disguise. A demon does not want to look like a monster. It wants to look like a friend. The real story began in 1970. A mother bought the doll at a hobby store as a birthday gift for her daughter, Donna. Donna was a nursing student living in Hartford, Connecticut, with her roommate, Angie. Donna put the doll on her bed and did not think much of it. Soon the girls noticed that the doll was moving. Donna would leave the doll sitting on her bed with its arms and legs uncrossed. When she came home, the doll would be lying down, or its legs would be crossed. It started to happen every day. Then the doll began to move between rooms. Donna would leave it in the bedroom and find it kneeling on a chair in the living room. Then the messages started. Donna and Angie found pieces of parchment paper lying around the apartment. They did not own parchment paper. The notes were written in pencil in a child's handwriting. They said things like, "Help us" or "Help Lou." Lou was a friend of the girls who hated the doll. He told them it was evil and they should burn it. The doll seemed to know that Lou was a threat. The activity escalated when Donna came home to find blood on the doll. There were drops of fresh blood on the doll's hands and chest. It seemed to be bleeding from its own stuffing. This terrified the girls, and they decided to contact a medium. The medium held a séance and told them a story that broke their hearts. She said the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins had died on the property long before the apartments were built. The spirit said she felt safe with Donna and Angie. She wanted to be loved. She asked for permission to inhabit the doll. Donna and Angie were nurses. They were compassionate people. They said yes, this was the trap. The Warrens later explained that there is no such thing as the ghost of a child possessing a doll. It was a demonic spirit pretending to be a child to gain sympathy. Once the girls gave it permission, the spirit revealed its true nature. Lou was the first victim. He was sleeping on the couch when he woke up unable to move. He saw the Raggedy Ann doll crawling up his leg. It moved up his chest to his neck and began to strangle him. He blacked out and woke up terrified. Later, Lou was investigating a noise in Donna's room. He went in and saw the doll in the corner. He felt a burning pain on his chest. He opened his shirt and found 7 claw marks, 3 vertical and 4 horizontal. They were hot, like burns. The girls finally called a priest, who called Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens took the doll immediately. They said it was a conduit for a demon that was looking to possess a human body. On the drive home, the car brakes failed and the steering gave out. The demon was trying to crash the car. Ed Warren had to stop and sprinkle holy water on the doll just to get the car to work again. Today, the doll sits in the wooden case in the museum. It is responsible for at least 1 death after being locked up. A man mocked the doll and challenged it to scratch him. He died in a motorcycle crash 3 hours later. The sign positively "Do not open" is the only thing standing between us and that entity. The second member of the Trinity of Evil is the samurai suit of armor. In the artifact room there stands a full suit of traditional Japanese armor. It is red and black with a terrifying face mask. In the movie Annabelle Comes Home, this armor is a major antagonist. The lore states that the armor belonged to a samurai who was a butcher. He killed his family and his village. He was so consumed by evil that his spirit remained in the armor after his death. The samurai armor is unique because it operates on the sounds of death. In the movie, the characters hear distant screaming when they get near the armor. These are the screams of the people the samurai killed. The armor forces you to listen to the suffering of its victims. Visually, the armor is terrifying because it appears to be empty, but it watches you. In the film, it has the ability to teleport. It does not walk. It simply appears closer every time you blink. It stands in the corner, and then suddenly it is right behind you. The face mask has empty eye sockets, but if you look closely, you can see human eyes staring back at you from the darkness. The goal of the samurai is to encase a victim. It wants to pull a living person inside the suit. If it catches you, the metal plates crush you and the spirit takes over your body. It is a parasite made of steel and hate. In reality, Ed Warren did have a suit of samurai armor in the collection. He believed in the concept of psychometry, which means that objects absorb the energy of the events they witness. A weapon used to kill retains the vibration of murder. A suit of armor worn by a killer retains the soul of the killer. Lorraine Warren refused to touch the armor because the psychic screaming was too loud for her to bear. The third member of the Trinity is the Ferryman. This entity is connected to a specific object in the room, which is a bag of silver coins. In the movie, the Ferryman is a tall, skeletal figure who wears a tattered cloak. He has no eyes. Instead of eyes, he has 2 silver coins embedded in his skull. The lore of the Ferryman is based on the Greek myth of Charon. Charon is the boatman who ferries souls across the river Styx to the afterlife, but he requires a toll. In ancient times, coins were placed over the eyes of the dead to pay this toll. In the Conjuring universe, the Ferryman is a collector of souls. The coins in the artifact room are his trap. If you touch the coins, you accept the toll. You are marked for death. There is a terrifying sequence in the movie where a character follows a trail of coins into a dark room. She shines her flashlight and sees corpses standing in the corners. They are wrapped in burial shrouds, and they all have coins over their eyes. The ferryman keeps the souls of those he has taken. He does not let them move on. He adds them to his collection in the dark. The ferryman represents the cold inevitability of death. Unlike Annabelle, who is chaotic, and the samurai, who is violent, the ferryman is silent. He waits. He knows that eventually everyone has to pay the toll. The real Warren files contain many instances of cursed money. Ed Warren warned that coins are powerful conductors of energy. Money that has been used in occult rituals or placed on the eyes of the dead carries a heavy attachment. By picking up such a coin, you are completing a circuit and inviting the spirit attached to it into your life. These 3 entities form the dark heart of the artifact room. Annabelle is the mastermind who wakes the others up. The samurai is the brute force who attacks with violence. The ferryman is the silent stalker who drags souls into the darkness. Together they make the room a place where no one should ever go alone. This concludes the first part of our deep dive into the Warrens' artifact room. We have met the leaders of the cursed army. In the next part, we will explore the tools of the trade, including the mirrors and the music boxes that were used to open the gates of hell. Act 2. Instruments of the occult. We are now moving deeper into the room. We have seen the monsters that live in the shadows, the ones that want to hurt you, the ones that want to take your soul. But there is another category of items in this prison. These are the items that were not necessarily born evil. They were made to be tools. They were created by humans to try and bridge the gap between the living and the dead. These are the instruments of the occult. The Warrens always warned people about curiosity. They said that curiosity is the bait. You do not start out wanting to summon a demon. You just want to see if ghosts are real. You want to talk to a relative who passed away. You want to see the future. So you buy a tool. You buy a board or a pendulum or a mirror. And you use it, and it works. But the problem is that you are opening a door that you do not know how to lock. And once that door is open, it is not just your grandmother who comes through. It is everything else that was waiting in the hallway. The first item in this section is one of the most iconic objects in the entire Conjuring universe. It is the Perron family music box. If you have seen the first Conjuring movie, you will remember this object vividly. It is not a standard music box with a ballerina on top. It is a small wooden box with a clown face on the front. Inside, there is a circular mirror. It is a spiral. When you turn the key on the back of the box, the music starts to play. It plays an old nursery rhyme. As the music plays, the spiral mirror begins to spin. The design of the mirror is very specific. It is a hypnotic spiral. As it spins, it creates an optical illusion. It draws your eye into the center. It makes you focus. And the lore of the movie says that if you look into the mirror while the music is playing, you can see spirits standing behind you. In the movie, The Conjuring, the music box is found in the old farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. This is the home of the Perron family. The youngest daughter, April, finds the box. She uses it to communicate with the spirit. She calls him Rory. Rory is the ghost of a little boy who was killed in the house a long time ago. There is a very tense scene in the movie that explains exactly how this instrument works. April is sitting on the floor. She winds up the box. The music plays. She stares into the spinning mirror. She is not looking at her own reflection. She is looking over her shoulder in the reflection. She sees Rory standing behind her. The box is a phone line. It is a direct connection to the other side. The danger of this object is that it disguises itself as a toy. It plays a happy tune. It looks colorful, but it is a trap. The spirits used this box to groom the child. They used it to gain her trust. They made her think she was playing a game. They played hide and clap. But while she was playing, the spirits were getting stronger. They were feeding on her energy. Later in the film, Lorraine Warren decides to use the music box herself. She wants to see what happened in the house. She wants to know the history of the haunting. She takes the music box down to the cellar. The cellar is the darkest part of the house. It is where the history is buried. Lorraine stands in the dark. She winds the key. The metal tinkling of the music starts. It echoes in the silence of the basement. She holds the box up to her face. She stares into the spiral. The mirror spins. At first she only sees her own eye. Then the reflection shifts. The spiral acts like a tunnel. She starts to see the past. She sees the mother who lived there in the 1800s. She sees the murder. The music box shows her the truth, but it also makes her vulnerable. By looking into the mirror, she is stepping into the spirit's territory. In the real-life case of the Perron family, the haunting was incredibly violent. The Warrens spent a lot of time at the farmhouse. Ed Warren often spoke about items that act as focal points. A focal point is an object that the spirits use to anchor themselves to the physical world. It is like a base of operations. If a child becomes obsessed with a specific toy during a haunting, it is usually because the spirit is using that toy to communicate. The music box in the artifact room is kept on a high shelf. It is not wound up. Ed Warren said that music is a very powerful trigger. Music is mathematical. It is a vibration. Certain tones and certain rhythms can alter the atmosphere of a room. A music box that has been used to talk to the dead has that vibration locked inside it. If you were to wind it up in the museum, you would be sending out a signal. You would be ringing the doorbell. The second item in our collection of instruments is the toy monkey. This is the musical jolly chimp. You have probably seen this toy before in antique shops or old movies. It was a very popular toy in the 1950s and 60s. It is a mechanical monkey covered in brown fur. It wears a little hat and a vest. It holds two brass cymbals in its hands. When you turn it on or wind it up, the monkey bares its teeth. Its eyes pop out, and it bangs the cymbals together. Clang, clang, clang. In the Conjuring universe, this monkey is not just a toy. It is an alarm system, and it is a cursed executioner. The monkey appears in The Conjuring, and it plays a big role in Annabelle Comes Home. The lore is simple but terrifying. The monkey predicts death. Every time the monkey bangs its cymbals, someone is going to die. It is not a random action. It is a prophecy. In the artifact room, the monkey sits on a shelf. It is usually silent. Its eyes are dark. But when the spirits in the room become active, the monkey is the first thing to wake up. In the movie, we see its eyes light up red. We hear the mechanical whirring of its gears, and then the slow, rhythmic clapping of the cymbals. This sound is psychological torture. Imagine being in a dark house. You know there are ghosts there, and suddenly from the darkness you hear the metal clinking of the monkey. You know what it means. You know that it means the barrier is down. There is a backstory in the expanded lore that explains why the monkey is so evil. The story says that the toy was originally owned by a lonely man who was obsessed with the occult. He tried to use the monkey as a guardian. He performed a ritual to bind a spirit to the monkey so that it would warn him when bad things were coming. He wanted a watchdog, but he made a mistake. He did not bind a protective spirit. He bound a trickster demon. The demon took over the toy. Instead of warning the man, it started to torment him. It would bang its cymbals in the middle of the night to wake him up. It would hide in his closet. And eventually, the man died of a heart attack right after the monkey clapped its cymbals for the final time. The Warrens found the monkey and took it. Ed Warren categorized it as an infested object. He explained that spirits like to inhabit things that have a face. A doll has a face. A statue has a face. A toy monkey has a face. It gives them something to look through. It gives them a mockery of life. The monkey is particularly scary because it is mechanical. It moves on its own. When a spirit possesses a mechanical object, it can use the battery or the spring mechanism to move. It does not have to use as much of its own energy because the toy is already designed to move. This makes it very easy for even a weak spirit to animate the monkey and scare people. In the museum, the monkey is considered one of the most volatile items. It is not kept in a glass case like Annabelle, but it is treated with extreme caution. The rule is that you never touch it and you never wind it up. There are stories of visitors who looked at the monkey and felt like it was laughing at them. They said the glass eyes seemed to follow them around the room. The idea of the monkey is that it is a conductor. The cymbals are made of brass. The sound they make is sharp and piercing. In the occult, sound is used to break up energy or to summon energy. The rhythmic clapping acts like a drum beat. It sets the tempo for the haunting. When the monkey plays, the rest of the room dances. The third item in this section is the most dangerous tool of them all, the conjuring mirror, or the scrying mirror. This is a large black mirror that stands in the corner of the artifact room. It is almost always covered with a thick cloth. The cloth is there for a reason. You do not leave a door open if you do not want things to come in. In the movies, specifically in The Conjuring 2 and Annabelle Comes Home, we see how mirrors are used in the Warrens' work. We also see the terrible danger of them. The mirror in the artifact room is a scrying mirror. Scrying is an ancient practice. It dates back thousands of years. It involves staring into a reflective surface until you go into a trance. The surface can be a bowl of water or a crystal ball or a black mirror. The goal of scrying is to see visions. You want to see the future or communicate with spirits. The idea is that the mirror acts as a screen. The spirits project images onto the screen for you to see. But the Warrens warned that a mirror is not just a screen. It is a doorway. In the Conjuring universe, the mirror is a portal. We see this concept clearly in the opening of The Conjuring 2. The Warrens are holding a séance at the Amityville house. Lorraine is sitting at a table. She's not using a mirror on the table, but she is using her mind as the mirror. However, in the artifact room, the physical mirror represents this danger. In Annabelle Comes Home, the mirror plays a crucial role. When the characters enter the artifact room, they see the mirror standing there. The cloth has fallen off or been pulled off. They look into it. The glass is dark. It is not like a bathroom mirror that gives a clear reflection. It is smoky. It is dim. This is intentional. The darkness helps your mind hallucinate. It helps the spirits form shapes. The lore says that this specific mirror was used by a satanic cult in the woods of Connecticut. They used it to summon demons. They would stand in a circle around the mirror and chant. They would stare into the glass for hours until the reflection changed. They were trying to bring something through, and they succeeded. The problem with a portal is that it works both ways. You can look in, but things can also look out, and things can step out. Ed Warren had a very strict theory about mirrors. He said that mirrors can trap souls. This is why in many cultures people cover the mirrors in a house when someone dies. They are afraid that the soul of the dead person will get confused. They will see their reflection and get stuck in the mirror instead of moving on to the afterlife. The scrying mirror in the museum is full of these stuck things. It is crowded. If you were to uncover it and stand in front of it, you would feel a cold wind. You would feel the temperature drop 10 degrees instantly. This is the energy of the spirits trying to get close to the opening. There is a story about a priest who came to bless the museum. He was standing near the mirror. He claimed that he saw a hand press against the glass from the inside. It was a pale hand. It pressed against the surface like someone trying to push a window open. Then it slid down and vanished. The mirror is the ultimate instrument of the occult because it appeals to our vanity and our desire for knowledge. We want to see ourselves. We want to see our future. We look into the glass and we wait. The spirits know this. They wait on the other side. They show us what we want to see. They show us a loved one. They show us a vision of success. They lure us in closer. And when we are close enough, they grab us. In the movie, there is a scene where a character looks into the mirror and sees a future where they are dead. They see their own corpse. This is a common trick of the demonic. They use the mirror to show you your worst fears. They feed on the fear that the image creates. The scrying mirror is also dangerous because it amplifies the rest of the room. A mirror reflects light, but it also reflects energy. In a room filled with cursed objects, the mirror acts as a repeater. It bounces the negative energy around the room. It makes the signals stronger. It is like an echo chamber for evil. These three instruments represent the different ways humans try to interact with the unknown. The music box represents the innocence of communication. It is a toy. It is used by children. It represents the idea that we can talk to the dead, and it will be safe. It shows us that spirits can disguise themselves as friends. The music box lures you in with a melody. It hypnotizes you with a spiral. It makes you lower your guard because you think you are playing a game. But the game is rigged. The toy monkey represents the warning. It is the alarm. It shows us that there are consequences to opening the door. It represents the fear of the inevitable. When the monkey plays, you know that death is coming. It is a tool that was meant to protect, but became a tool of terror. It reminds us that we cannot control the forces we summon. The man who tried to make the monkey a watchdog ended up with a demon in his bedroom. The mirror represents the gateway. It is the direct line. It is the most intellectual and the most dangerous of the tools. It is used by people who think they are powerful, people who think they can command spirits. But the mirror shows us that we are small. We are just looking through a keyhole. And the thing on the other side of the door is much bigger and much older than we are. The Warrens kept these items for a very specific reason. They did not keep them to use them. They kept them to take them out of circulation. Ed Warren used to say that leaving a scrying mirror in an antique shop is like leaving a loaded gun on a playground. Someone is going to pick it up. Someone is going to pull the trigger. By locking these tools in the artifact room, the Warrens were cutting the phone lines. They were taking away the keys. They wanted to make sure that no one else could use that specific music box to talk to Rory. They wanted to make sure that no one else could use that mirror to summon the beast. But the instruments are still there. They still work. The music box still plays its tune if you wind it. The monkey still has its symbols. The mirror still has its depth. They are just waiting for a hand to touch them. As we stand in this section of the room, we can feel the potential energy. It is different from the aggression of Annabelle or the samurai. The samurai wants to kill you. The music box just wants you to listen. It wants your attention. It is a passive evil. It waits for you to make the first move. If you were to stand in the room in the dark, you might hear the faint sound of the music box starting to play on its own. Tink, tink, tink. You might see the monkey's eyes flash red in the shadows. You might catch a movement in the black glass of the mirror. This is the trap of the instruments. They are interactive. They beg to be used. They are designed to be touched. And that is the hardest temptation to resist. In the next part of our tour, we are going to look at the items that are not tools and not monsters, but something else. We are going to look at the silent library. The items that carry curses so specific and so deadly that even looking at them is a risk. We will explore the shadow doll and the satanic idol. These are the deep cuts of the collection, the ones that do not make a lot of noise but cause a lot of damage. But for now, we step away from the mirror. We make sure the cloth is tight. We step away from the monkey. We leave the music box unwound. We leave the tools on the shelf. Because in this room, the only thing we should be using is our prayers. Part 2 ends here. We have survived the tools. But the shadows are getting longer, and the deeper we go into the room, the darker the stories get. Act 3. The Silent Library. We have explored the loud monsters. We have seen the samurai that screams and the monkey that claps. We have looked at the tools that people use to try and talk to the dead. Now, we are going to the back of the room. We are going to the section that I call the silent library. This part of the collection is different. The items here do not make noise. They do not have mechanical parts. They do not try to get your attention. They sit on the shelves and they wait. They are the items that work in the silence. They are the things that attack you when you are asleep. They attack your mind before they attack your body. The Warrens called this room a library of the cursed for a reason. Every object is a book that tells a story of tragedy. But some of these books are so dangerous that you should not even look at the cover. The first item in this silent section is perhaps the most visually terrifying object in the entire museum. It is called the Shadow Doll. If you have seen the movies, you might have missed this one. It is often in the background. It lurks in the shadows of the shots. But in the real-life museum, it is a star. It is one of the things that Ed Warren was most afraid of. The Shadow Doll does not look like Annabelle. Annabelle looks like a child's toy. She looks innocent. The Shadow Doll looks like a nightmare. It was not bought in a store. It was not made in a factory. It was handmade. And it was made for one specific purpose: black magic. To describe the Shadow Doll is to describe something that should not exist. It is about the size of a human infant, but it has no human features. Its face is a ruin. It looks like it is made of dried skin or old leather. It has a beak like a bird or a distorted nose that points downward. The most disturbing part is the materials. The doll is covered in blackbird feathers. These are not decorative feathers. They are ragged and dirty. They were taken from dead birds. In the practice of voodoo and black magic, bird feathers are often used to represent flight or travel, specifically travel into the spirit world or travel into dreams. The doll also contains animal bones, and in the mouth of the doll there is a human tooth. This is a very important detail. In the world of the occult, using human parts is a way to bind a spirit to an object. A tooth contains DNA. It contains the essence of a person. By putting a human tooth in the doll, the creator was building a bridge. They were linking the doll to the human world. The lore of the Shadow Doll is terrifying because of what it does. It is not possessed in the way Annabelle is. Annabelle has a demon living inside her. The Shadow Doll is a curse object. It was created to send a curse to someone. The curse of the Shadow Doll works through dreams. Ed Warren explained that this doll acts as a traveler. If you are the target of the curse, the doll will visit you while you sleep. You will be lying in bed in the dark. You will fall asleep, and then you will start to dream. In the dream, you will be in your own room. Everything will look normal, but then you will see something in the corner. You will see the doll. It will be standing there watching you. It does not move. It just stares with its empty eyes. You might wake up sweating. You might think it was just a bad dream. But the next night it happens again. You fall asleep. You are in your room, and the doll is there again. But this time it is closer. It has moved from the corner to the foot of your bed. The legend says that the doll moves closer every night. It is a slow hunt. It feeds on your fear. Every time you go to sleep, you are terrified that you will see it. And that fear makes the connection stronger. The ultimate goal of the Shadow Doll is to kill you. But it does not stab you. It does not strangle you. like the Annabelle entity. It stops your heart. There is a phenomenon called death by fright. It is a real medical thing. Your body releases so much adrenaline that your heart cannot handle it. The shadow doll is designed to cause this. The idea is that if the doll touches you in the dream, you die in real life. You will be found dead in your bed. The doctors will say it was a heart attack. They will say it was natural causes. But the truth is that you were scared to death. Ed Warren had a very specific rule about the shadow doll. It is one of the strictest rules in the museum. You cannot take a picture of it. We live in a world where everyone has a camera in their pocket. Everyone wants to take a selfie with the cursed objects. But Ed said no. He believed that a photograph captures more than just light. It captures the energy of the subject. If you take a picture of the shadow doll, you are creating a link. You are taking a piece of the curse home with you. You look at the photo on your phone. You zoom in on the feathers. You zoom in on the face. By doing this, you are inviting the spirit to look back at you. There are stories of people who broke this rule. There was a man who visited the museum on a tour. He thought the rules were stupid. He waited until the tour guide was looking away and he snapped a photo of the shadow doll. He checked his camera. The photo was blurry. He took another one. This one was clear. He laughed and put the camera away. That night he went home. He went to sleep. At 3 in the morning he woke up screaming. He told his wife that there was a bird in the room. He said a giant black bird was attacking him. His wife turned on the light. There was no bird. But the man was clutching his chest. He was sweating. He was terrified. He deleted the photo. He destroyed the camera. He never went back to the museum. He was lucky. He survived. But he said that for years afterwards, he could still feel something watching him from the corners of dark rooms. The shadow doll represents the deliberate use of evil. Most of the items in the room are accidents. Someone bought a doll and it happened to be haunted. Someone bought a mirror and it happened to be a portal. But the shadow doll was not an accident. Someone sat down and made it. Someone collected the feathers and the bones and the tooth. Someone spoke the words to bind the curse. It is a weapon. And that makes it one of the darkest things in the library. The second item in the silent library is the satanic idol. This item sits on a lower shelf in the artifact room. It is heavy. It is ugly. It looks like a beast. It is a horned figure carved out of stone or wood. It has a snout like a pig or a goat. It has a thick body. It looks primitive. The story of this idol takes us to the woods of Connecticut, specifically the woods near Sandy Hook. The Warrens spent a lot of time in this area. They believed that certain places on Earth are thin spots, places where the wall between our world and the spirit world is weak. The woods of Sandy Hook were one of these places. The story goes that a young hunter was walking through these woods. It was autumn. The leaves were falling. The woods were quiet, too quiet. He realized that he could not hear any birds. He could not hear any squirrels. The forest had gone silent. He walked into a clearing. In the center of the clearing, there was a circle of stones, and in the middle of the circle, standing on a rock, was this idol. The hunter did not know what it was. He just saw a strange statue. He felt drawn to it. He walked over to it. He saw that there were things scattered around the base of the rock. Small bones, feathers, signs of sacrifice. He should have turned around and ran, but he didn't. He picked it up. As soon as he touched the idol, he felt sick. He felt a wave of nausea hit him. His head started to spin, but he also felt a strange desire to keep it. He put it in his backpack. He carried it out of the woods. When he got to his truck, he threw the backpack in the passenger seat. He drove home, but the whole way home he felt like there was someone in the truck with him. He kept looking in the rearview mirror. He expected to see someone sitting in the back seat. That night the activity started. He heard footsteps outside his house, heavy footsteps crunching on the gravel. He looked out the window. He saw a shadow standing at the edge of the tree line. It was tall, it was broad, and it had horns. The entity that is attached to this idol is known as the woodsman, or the horned beast. The Warrens identified the idol as a summoning object. It was used by a local satanic cult. They used it as a focal point to call up a nature spirit. But not a nice nature spirit. A spirit of the wild, a spirit of chaos. By taking the idol, the hunter had stolen from the spirit. He had taken the anchor, so the spirit followed the anchor. The Warrens were called in because the hunter was being terrorized. The entity was banging on his walls. It was scratching at his doors. It wanted the idol back, or it wanted the hunter. Ed Warren took the idol. He performed a binding ritual to cut the connection between the object and the woods. He brought it to the museum. In the artifact room, the idol is a very heavy presence. Visitors often say that it is the most uncomfortable thing to look at. Annabelle is scary because we know her story, but the idol is scary because it looks ancient. It looks like something that has been worshipped. The danger of the idol is that it is a beacon for the demonic. Idols are designed to be containers. They are empty vessels that are meant to be filled with a god or a spirit. Since this idol was used in satanic rituals, it was filled with something dark. Ed Warren warned that you should never touch the idol. He said that the energy in it is radioactive. If you touch it, you can pick up the attachment. You might go home and start seeing the horned figure in your own backyard. The idol represents the danger of the wild. It represents the old magic, the magic that exists in the deep woods where people do not go. It reminds us that there are things in nature that are older than us and stronger than us, and if we take their things, they will come to get them back. The third item in our silent library is the vampire coffin. This is the largest item in the room. It sits on the floor. It is a wooden coffin. It is old. The wood is scratched and stained. The lining inside is torn. When visitors see this, they often laugh. They think it is a joke. They think of Dracula. They think of movies with capes and fangs. But the Warrens took this case very seriously. Ed Warren did not believe in vampires in the Hollywood sense. He did not believe that people could turn into bats or that they would burn up in the sun. But he did believe in vampirism as a spiritual and psychological condition. He believed that there are demonic spirits that feed on life force. These spirits can possess a human. When a human is possessed by one of these entities, they begin to act like a vampire. They crave blood. They become obsessed with death. They cannot stand the light. They lose their energy during the day and become active at night. The coffin in the museum came from a case involving a modern-day vampire. The story is that there was a man who claimed to be a vampire. He lived in a normal house in a normal neighborhood. But inside the house it was a tomb. He had blocked out all the windows. He had painted the walls black. And in the center of his bedroom, instead of a bed, he had this coffin. He would sleep in the coffin during the day. He believed that the coffin protected him. He believed that it helped him recharge his dark energy. The Warrens were called by the man's family. They were terrified. They said he had stopped eating food. He was drinking blood. He was hunting small animals. He was becoming a monster. Ed and Lorraine went to the house. They confronted the man. It was a violent confrontation. The man was incredibly strong. The entity inside him fought back. They eventually managed to perform an exorcism. They drove the spirit out. But Ed knew that they could not leave the coffin there. The coffin had become a nest. It was saturated with the evil energy of the rituals the man had performed. It was stained with the blood he had consumed. If they left it there, the man might relapse, or someone else might find it and be infected by the energy, so they took it. Moving a coffin is not easy. It is heavy, it is awkward, and it is creepy. Imagine driving down the highway with a used vampire coffin in the back of your van. In the museum, the coffin stays closed. We do not know what is inside it now. Maybe it is empty. Maybe there is just dust. But the energy coming off it is palpable. The coffin represents the corruption of humanity. The man who owned it was human. He was not a demon, but he allowed himself to be twisted. He sought out the darkness. He wanted to be a monster. The coffin is a symbol of that choice. It is a bed made for the dead, and when a living person chooses to sleep in it, they are choosing to die. These three items make up the core of the silent library: the shadow doll, the satanic idol, the vampire coffin. They are the quiet ones. They do not scream, they do not clap cymbals, they just exist. But their existence is a threat. They are like radioactive waste. They are sitting there leaking their poison into the room. Conclusion: the burden of the keepers. Now we have seen the room. We have seen the Trinity of Evil. We have seen the instruments. We have seen the silent library. We have walked through the aisles of the cursed. And now we have to leave. But before we go, we have to talk about the people who keep this room. We have to talk about the burden of being the jailers. Ed and Lorraine Warren are gone now. Ed died in 2006. Lorraine died in 2019. But the room is still there. The house is still there. The collection is now looked after by their son-in-law, Tony Spearer. He is the new keeper. He is the one who has to go down those stairs. He is the one who has to check the locks. Tony knows the rules better than anyone. He knows the feely-touchy rule. This rule was made famous in the movie Annabelle Comes Home. The character Daniela enters the room and touches everything. She thinks it is a game. She picks up the coins. She touches the armor. She opens the case. The movie shows us the consequences: chaos, violence, terror. But in real life, the rule is even more important. Tony explains that the room is a delicate balance. It is a standoff. The spirits are trapped, but they are not dead. They are waiting. They are waiting for a mistake. If you touch an object, you are giving it a pathway. You are like a wire connecting a battery to a light bulb. You complete the circuit. The energy flows from the object into you, and once it is in you, it is very hard to get it out. That is why the room is not open to the public anymore. You cannot just buy a ticket and walk in. It is too dangerous. The risk is too high. The artifacts are safer together than they are apart. This was Ed Warren's philosophy. If you separate them, you have hundreds of hauntings all over the world. If you keep them together, you have one massive haunting in one room that you can control. The room is a prison, but it is also a church. It is blessed constantly. The holy water is the bars of the cell. The prayers are the walls. As we stand at the door ready to leave, we look back one last time. We see the Annabelle doll in her case. Her head is tilted. She seems to be watching us leave. We see the samurai standing tall in the shadows. We see the monkey with its cymbals ready to clap. We realize that this room is necessary. The world is full of dark things. Things that hurt people. Things that destroy families. The Warrens made it their life's work to catch these things, to take them out of the world. They built a library of the cursed so that the rest of us could sleep at night, so we step out of the room. We close the heavy wooden door. We hear the lock click. We see the religious symbols painted on the wood. We say a prayer. And we walk up the stairs into the light. We leave the things in the dark where they belong. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the Warrens' artifact room. It is a place that reminds us that there are forces in this world that we do not understand, and that sometimes the best thing to do is to just walk away. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below, and let me know which object scared you the most. Was it the doll? Was it the armor? Or was it the silence of the coffin? Until next time, keep your doors locked, keep your lights on, and never invite anything in. Good night.